Hey, what's going on guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, with the addition of League Play coming to Black Ops Cold War in the last couple of days, I'm going to give you guys some of the best League Play and competitive class setups from ARs to SMGs that you can take forward in using League Play and will help you massively. Now, a lot of these class setups are used by the pros in competitive games, and they obviously are known to be the best ones to go forward. So obviously, if you guys don't know what those classes are, I'm going to bring them to you in this video. Again, I've used a couple of these, I've tried them out, and I'm not going to lie, they really do shred. So guys, stick around. I hope you do enjoy the video. If you do, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe down below. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. We are pretty damn close, just under 200 away right now. I can't thank you guys enough, so let's get into this. Okay, so to the majority of you guys that are interested in competitive in Call of Duty, or are interested and are curious into finding out what League Play is like, I've got a couple of really good class setups for you guys to go into straight away and just put on in order for you to kind of do a little bit better and have that bit more of an advantage over your opponents than you typically would with classes that people would use for pub stomping. So in competitive, you're not trying to be completely silent around the map, so you're not trying to go for nuclears, you're not trying to call in really high kill streaks, you're just there to try and win the game, and you need a setup in order to be able to do that. So as I mentioned guys, these class setups that I'm going to give you in this video will help you be able to make a start with that, and you can adjust them as you wish. Okay, so going into class setup number one, we are of course going to be starting with the AK-74U, and this is probably one of the most used weapons in competitive Call of Duty in Cold War currently, and it's by far one of the best SMGs that you can use in the game in general. So going over the class setup, this is one of the class setups that I would typically take into a typical game, hardpoint or something like that, and it works very well. Now this setup is aimed around controlling objectives and trying to push and get enemies off objectives to try and obviously regain them and get those points back. And doing that, obviously we've got things like a trophy system, we have flat jacket on, which prevents explosive damage a little bit better, so you won't die from that grenade. You'll obviously have a bit more protection over that. Tactical mask, which again helps with flashes and stuns and things that have been thrown onto objectives or around corners or something like that on S&D or in hardpoint or something like that. It will help you a lot having that on, and even in public matches, you guys are pretty aware, Tac mask is pretty much a crutch perk to have on. And Ninja, to avoid being heard on the map, obviously everyone in competitive is going to have a headset on, everyone's going to be listening out for those footsteps. Even on games like hardpoint, it is a necessary perk to have on. So they're the three perks I would typically take into a competitive game, and again they are used pretty much vastly by most competitive players in Cold War in general, so I would typically go with those there. And then again, going with the lethals and tacticals, the flashbangs, I like to use them on objectives to throw it on, push up to the enemy, and then try and take them out there, and then if we can. And then of course with the Semtexes, me, it's better than a frag because obviously it sticks, and with a frag, you know, you can sort of bounce it off walls and things, but for me a Semtex has always been what I've used, so typically I would stick with that. But if you prefer the frag, then I would go with that too. Now onto the main weapon of the class, which is the AK. So this is the setup we are going to go with in this video. So starting off with the muzzle, we're going to go with the Spetsnaz compensator, and the reason for that is of course you get additional recoil benefits, and again you need to be able to control your weapon as well as possible in order to be able to win those gunfights and not spray around left, right over their head, or completely miss shots. You want to be as accurate as possible, and to do that you need obviously as little recoil as possible. So the Spetsnaz compensator is a really good option to go for, and it's very viable to go for as well. Going on to the barrel, sorry guys, just a butt in here whilst editing. I've just realized that the Task Force barrel has actually been banned in competitive on this game, and I didn't realize until I've just obviously made this video. So I would go ahead and replace it with the 10.3 inch Liberator barrel, which is again literally just gives you that additional bullet velocity on the weapon, and yeah, you need that on a weapon like an SMG to be able to ensure that you're getting that 3 to 4 shot kill from a longer range. So again, that's probably the best one I would go for when you can't use the Task Force barrel. Anyway, going on to the underbarrel, we're going to go with the Spetsnaz grip, and as I mentioned about recoil, this one here gives loads of pros around recoil, and as you can see here, again, gives loads of benefits to that too. I have got a shooting speed decrease, but it doesn't really matter because again, you have got a lot of recoil benefits with this, and it really does counteract the barrel quite significantly, so that's always really good. Going on to the handle, the Gru Elastic Wrap. This is a very good handle to go with, and probably the best one in the class, obviously with it being the end one. Again, aim down sight time 30% additional, flinch resistance up to 90%. This is huge as well, and you can aim down sight whilst going prone, which leads on to the final attachment, obviously the KGB skeletal stock. And again, going on to my point about pre-aiming previously, a lot of pre-aiming is done in the competitive Call of Duty in general, and this really does help here. So as you can see, the aim walking speed as well, and the sprinter fire time, that will help obviously with being able to pre-aim walk a bit faster whilst you aim down sight, so you can pre-aim a corner and kind of move a little bit in and out of the way, left and right, wherever you need to go, to try and make yourself a harder target to hit. And to be honest, it is the best stock to put on in this category, and it is 100% the best thing to have on the AK, because I mean, if you are obviously a harder target to hit, you're moving faster whilst aim down sight, you're going to be more accurate, you're more likely to get that kill. So it's definitely worth going ahead and putting that on. Guys, that's the first setup for the AK. As I mentioned, go try it out. It's a really, really good objective-based class. And again, it does actually pose quite a good setup from longer ranges too. And even in public matches, this thing actually does shred quite a lot on things like hardpoint domination, things like that. So go try it out, guys, and let me know what you think. But moving on to more of a longer range setup, and this is for people playing rather anchor, which is at the back of the map, trying to hold the spawns, or if you're trying to get that longer range, you're being more of an aggressive AR or something like that, this is a class for you to use. Now, the second class, of course, is the Krig 6. I know, a little bit crazy. I bet you wasn't expecting the Krig 6 to be on this list, but boy, it deserves to be, and I'm going to show you why. So again, the class setup is pretty much similar to the last one, so we'll skip over that and just go straight to the weapon this time. One of the best weapons in the game for lasering people. Little recoil. It's a very, very good weapon. It's very similar to things like the ACR in previous games, and it's an absolute beam machine. Onto the optic. The Millstop is one of my go-tos for this, but I really like the Microflex. The Microflex is probably my favorite to have on all ARs, all SMGs, everything like that. I would typically go with this, but for this instance, the Millstop, again, I know a lot of people like the Millstop, and a lot of people use it over the Microflex. So again, it's entirely up to you what you use. Typically, I would go with this, but again, you choose, it doesn't really matter. Going to the barrel, we're going to go with the Ranger foregrip. Now, for me, the Krig 6 doesn't necessarily need any more range. You're just going to need to try and increase the bullet velocity. And that's what we're doing with this attachment. So the bullet velocity is obviously going to make sure that that gun is going to be a 3 to 4 shot kill from that longer range, and in this case, up to 100% longer range. So it's a massive increase. It really does help, and the Krig 6 absolutely shreds on competitive when used correctly. 110%, this is the best barrel to have on the Krig. Going on to the underbarrel, which we are going with a field agent foregrip. Again, you want to make sure this is a beam machine, so you want to try and put the thing that's going to give it as little recoil as possible, and in this case, again, the field agent grip. Aim down sight time is always very useful with an AR, especially when you're running around a corner, and again, if you're against an SMG or something, you want to be able to pull up your sights as quickly as possible, and again, this attachment really does help that. And you can aim whilst going prone too, which again, for drop shot with an AR always helps a lot, especially when you're coming against things like SMGs and people are jump shotting you. You can try and make yourself a more difficult target to hit. You're going to obviously be a lot less likely to die in that instance as well. And then, of course, going on, we're going with the Raider stock, which again increases sprint to fire time and aim walking movement speed, which again gives you that additional thing of pre-aiming around corners with an AR, or if you again want to bring your sights up, they're brought up even faster. And again, as I mentioned, pre-aiming's massive in competitive to pre-aim corners, hallways, things like that. Everything, you really want to make sure your sights are up at every given moment and you're not sprinting around corners, because you will get caught out in this as well. So guys, that is the Krig 6. Go and try this out again, and as I mentioned, the secondary doesn't typically matter. I would just make sure that it's something that you are comfortable with using, and something that if you run out of ammo with your primary, that you can finish someone off, or you can go and get that kill or 2 kills with that weapon. For this instance, I've used the M1911. And onto the final class setup. Again, everything is pretty much the same down here. The only difference is the MP5 as the primary weapon. This thing isn't typically used that much in competitive anymore. It was at the start, because everyone thought it would obviously be the go-to meta weapon, but then we discovered the AK. But the MP5 is a very good weapon. Still, of course, it is good. It's only used in smaller maps such as Crossroads, things like that. From what I've seen and from what I've played, typically the MP5 is more of a Crossroads based map. But going into the attachments for the weapon, again, it's going to be very similar to the AK in attachments wise, but with 1 or 2 minor tweaks. So the muzzle, we're going to go with the infantry compensator. Again, recoil control is absolutely massive. That's what we want on every weapon that we use in competitive. We don't want that suppressor. We just want to try and get as much range and as much recoil pros as possible. Again, there's a little bit of a decrease in horizontal there, but it doesn't really matter too much. I would go with the 9.5 inch reinforced heavy barrel, for the reason being, obviously you get an effective damage range increase and an increase in bullet velocity. So from where this barrel lacks in recoil, this one makes up in damage range and bullet velocity, which really does help, guys. I'm not even joking with you right now. On other maps, not even just Crossroads, but if you're just generally playing competitive and trying it out, this is actually a really suitable barrel to try out. So go ahead and try it. Let me know what you think of that. The underbarrel is the Field Agent foregrip, and again, it just gives you loads of benefits on recoil, so of course it's the best one to go for. You can, obviously, as an alternative, go with the speed grip if you really wanted to, and again, it does give you a little bit of recoil control, but it's entirely up to you guys. Again, you can sprint. The sprinting move speed is increasing this. It does help you be a bit faster on the map, but for me, I think recoil is much better than speed, and if you're going to get caught out, I would much rather get caught out with as little recoil as possible than just have a little bit more speed. So again, it's up to you guys on what you want to do, but the SFOD speed grip, a very rushy SMG around the map, but if not, like me, then it's the recoil that you are looking to counter. Going on to the handle, obviously the airborne elastic wrap is a go-to. Obviously, we have it on pretty much all of the other weapons. And again, I'm not even going to go over it and repeat myself again, but the flinch resistance and aim down sight time is massive for the MP5. And then, of course, the Raider stock for the MP5, which is the last one on the list, is very good as well. Sprint fire time and aiming walking speed, which again, when you aim down sight, you can move that a little bit faster whilst aimed in too, which again helps with pre-aiming, jump shotting, and things like that too. And it's yeah, a very, very good stock to have on this class. But guys, that is pretty much the best 3 classes to have in a competitive game of Cold War. That is going to be the setups for this video. I really hope you guys have enjoyed, and if you have, just leave a like and let me know down below what you think of the League play in general, and if you're interested in competitive COD this year. To be honest, the last time I watched competitive COD was Black Ops 3. Ever since, I've not really been interested in it. I've just gone completely downhill with it, to be completely transparent with you guys. But for me, I'm kind of happy that it is back. Give you just a bit more content and something else to play. But again, if you want to play competitive COD, just go on Team Deathmatch. Skill-based matchmaking does a great job of that. But guys, really appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, just leave a like and subscribe down below for us to be on the road to 4,000 subs. That'd be absolutely amazing. And guys, we'll see you in the next one.